When you think arthritis, what do you think typically?
Inflammation.
Inflammation.
Pain.
Aches and pains. Yeah, bent fingers. Come on, there's one that I'm surprised somebody hasn't thrown out.
Mobility.
Decreased mobility, yes.
Acid.
Acid, yes.
Pills.
Pills. Who typically has arthritis?
Old people.
Old people. All right, that's where I want to go. I knew where I was going to actually lead you to what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, that was the key.
Yeah, I knew what I wanted to talk about. It doesn't matter what you guys want. It's all about me. Sorry. I'm working on that issue. I'm still a man. No, really, when you think arthritis, you think old. And I want to get real clear tonight that that is really wrong. That is not a true concept. Now, there are certain things that are the aging process or old age. And I was thinking about it today. You know, one is I noticed when I get my hair, for some reason when I get my hair cut really short, I start seeing a lot of gray. That is part of the aging process. That happens to pretty much everybody. You can't stop it. It is exactly what happens. It's what's supposed to happen. Now, some people are trying their hardest for it not to happen to them by purchasing products to put on their hair. But that's part of the aging process. You want to know the second thing that's part of the aging process? You know you're starting to age when you start driving really slow. That's another aging. That's part of the aging process. And then the third one I came up with is when you start to look at younger generations as crazy with the way they dress. That is the aging process, or you now know you're entering into old age, and the problem is I'm getting all three of those. I don't know about the driving. I still, you know, being an ex-powerboat racer, I still have that issue that my wife's always hitting me. Okay, so let's talk about then arthritis, some realities of it, in the true understanding to arthritis. Well, hold on, think about this. If arthritis is old age, so raise your hand if you've ever gone to a doctor and the doctor said, well, you have a knee problem or knee pain, and you go into the doctor, or shoulder, and the doctor looks at it and examines and x-rays and MRIs and said, oh, there it is, it's arthritis, it's old age. Raise your hand if that's happened to you, where you've had arthritis diagnosis, and they threw in the, well, it's just old age. Who here ever watched Arsenio Hall back in the 80s? Anybody? You know, that there was that one segment he did where things that make you go, So you got a right knee that hurts. The doctor says it's arthritis, and it's old age. And then we buy into it because doctors, you know, kind of play the God mentality. How old's the other knee? Wait a second, I'll say that one more time. So you got a bad right shoulder, and the doctor examined it, x-rayed it, MRI'd it, and did all these $14,527 worth of tests. It's old age, but isn't the left shoulder just as old? Yes, I thought about this years ago. So with that in mind, old age has absolutely nothing to do with arthritis. Please understand that it has absolutely nothing to do with it. And so with that in mind, doesn't that free you up a little bit? Because when you think old age, what do you think? I'm stuck. I'm 52, 72, 92, and hey, I have it, and it's there forever. It's probably one of the most devastating diagnoses or terminology that a doctor could say out of a mouth to you as a patient. And so what I want to get you to understand, it's not old age. It is a process. Here are some of the processes of how arthritis develops. The first, in osteoarthritis. Now there are some arthritises that not, but I'm going to talk typically just the one where your shoulder hurts and it doesn't move very well. Your low back hurts, it doesn't move. Your head, you can't turn it right very far, but you can turn it left very far. With that in mind, that's called osteoarthritis. The number one cause to osteoarthritis is trauma. There was an impact that happened into a joint. And when you damage a joint, what in general is the first thing doctors tell you to do when you injure an ankle? What are you supposed to do with it? Ice it and elevate it and immobilize it. Stop using it. Wrong. It is the worst thing you could ever do. That's where arthritis sets in. You damage the joint, you damage the neck, the knee, and it hurts, and it's inflamed, and it's swollen, probably out of alignment. And what starts setting in is it starts to rust. Really, if you think about what arthritis is, osteoarthritis, it's just rust. It's a rusted joint. Have you ever seen a bike chain? When it gets all rusty and it doesn't move very well, what do? Put some WD-40 on it, you get it spinning, and before you know it, it loosens up. And so osteoarthritis is simply rust in the joint. And the best way to get that joint unrusty, if you would, is to start moving it. And so, for those of you who have arthritis, whether it's your neck, your shoulder, your low back, move it. You know the saying, if you don't move it or you lose it? It is so true, like a boat engine. If I don't use my boat engine a lot, and it sits there, it starts to fall apart. And God built that way. Our body was created, the function of a human being, it actually is supposed to be moving. If you think about it, have you ever seen somebody who lost a loved one at 71? What ends up happening to the spouse? Real quickly, within sometimes months to years. They end up dying. Yeah, you know what? They go downhill. And the reason they go downhill, they stop using their brain, they stop using their body, they stopped. And that is the most devastating thing for a human being, is to stop. And so, number one, you want to move joints. Number two, toxicity. Debbie in the back commented that toxicity is an issue. Yes, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, that nutrition is huge. Well, arthritis, like if we've showed you your x-rays in your neck, and you've lost the curve in your neck, and the vertebrae out of alignment, and you see the spaces starting to come together, and there's spurs developing, those joints are dying. You know, it's funny how doctors put all these technical terminology on things to, I don't know if they're to wow you, or to make you feel that they're special or we're smarter than you. But the reality is that when a joint is coming together, degenerative disc disease or osteoarthritis, it's dying. And the way you get it living is to give it food. And the food isn't smoking. The food is not Jack Daniels. The food is not Doritos. Yeah, the food is not processed cheese, American processed cheese. Yeah, and we can talk about this on another report. Yeah, you've got to put good nutrition in the joint. And then there's another thing that we can talk about later, and that is to get the bad stuff out of the joint. So you put good in, get stuff out, and you move it. But what's the number one key to making a joint function? I'm going to get you to think this morning.
Blood flow.
Blood flow. Exercise. But there's a thing before that. Yeah, hey, trust me. You don't move a knee, don't move it for a year, watch what happens.
Mobility.
It freezes up. Yeah, it starts dying. No, let's go back another step. What controls the joint? What makes the joint move?
The brain.
The brain. Yes. So when you're uncertain about whether your arthritis is going to come alive or not, we have to get life from the brain to the joint working right, and then we've got to move the joint so the joint doesn't freeze up and fall apart. We've got to feed the joint. We've got to get the bad stuff out. You do that at 60 years old, your osteoarthritis or your old age disease will and can reverse. Now, I don't want to mislead anybody. The spur is not going to go anywhere that you see in the joint or the x-ray. But the degenerative process, listen, whether it's joint disease or cancer, it's the same. If a joint is dying or cells are dying and cancer is developing, all you have to do is get the joint regenerating or the organ regenerating, and cancer will go away that quick, and so will the osteoarthritic process. And do you think the body has a harder time with either of them? No. When the body is working right, it knows how to regenerate either. Now, I didn't want to bring cancer into the concept, but I want you guys to start to begin to understand how powerful the body is. And we're going to talk about some of that today. So, arthritis in closing. It's not old age, and it's not something that is holding you into bondage. You can't overcome it with the stuff that we do in the office. I see so many people that are in their 60s and 70s go back to running. I see people in their 60s and 70s that go back into the gym. And actually, even if it hurts minimally to moderately, you should be back in the gym and you should be working that body. So let's not let bodies continue to fall apart.